We've been given unprecedented access to a week in the life of Ben Bernanke, affectionately known as Helicopter Ben. And today, Dr. Bernanke is on his way to the Open Market Committee, where the subject is release of the new global currency, a dream of John Maynard Keynes actually, and the shutdown of the internet, where Ron Paul volunteers have infested the internet and the police forces and various institutions of the public welfare in an attempt to shut down Ben Bernanke's important work. And there we have Air Force One taking off. Actually, this is not Air Force One. We stand corrected. This is the members of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve are headed out for a very important meeting of the Open Market Committee. And Ben is now arriving to join them. Oftentimes, Ben takes his own transportation. He prefers to have a hands-on with not only his helicopter and the economy, but whatever he does. And as we mentioned earlier, Ben not only can create money out of thin air, but he can create Ferraris out of thin air at this point. And many times the Ron Paul volunteers are there to stop him. We see one up in the air now with a helicopter, him trying to imitate Ben's prowess in commanding the skies and the monetary system. And today, Ben is at the airport and he is getting ready to board one of the jumbo jets to go to the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee meeting, which is always held at a secret location. And this is for good reasons, because were it known to the public where these meetings are held, you could expect all manner of Ron Paul volunteers might be out there, would probably definitely be out there to inhibit the important business that goes on. All right, Ben is now testing one of his new cars that's been created for use of the Federal Reserve board members. These cars have to be able to function under all conditions and be able to get away from various citizens that do not understand the important work of the Federal Reserve System, be able to escape from the clutches of the Ron Paul volunteers. And it looks like Ben's going to give this car a thumbs up. A thumbs up. That is going to be the new car for the Federal. There we have. Ben pulls out one of his many tools to neutralize the Ron Paul people. Look at that. Go Ben, go Ben. Those Ron Paul people will stop at nothing to try to interrupt the important work of the Federal Reserve Chairman as he's on his way to an important meeting to discuss the termination of the internet and the distribution of the new global currency known as the Bancor or the Special Drawing Right, first proposed by that famous and wonderful economist John Maynard Keynes, who was one of the first ones, if not the first one, to provide the rationale for the endless printing of money based on debt, so that citizens would no longer have to work and be bothered with 19th and 18th century ideas such as working and productivity. They could basically just exist. And with the tools provided by the Federal Reserve, there we have another Ron Paul person trying to attack Ben in a helicopter. But anyway, with the tools available to the Federal Reserve and its chairman, people no longer have to work like they did during the Roosevelt era, pre-Roosevelt era. They can now print up all the money they need and just use this to buy whatever they need. There we have more Ron Paul volunteers impersonating policemen as Ben prudently drives away in one of the Fed-approved cars that's being developed by the World Banking Council. You know, we discussed these Ron Paul people before and how they're in there trying to gum up the workings of the Federal Reserve System. While Ben is on his way to an important meeting to discuss the shutdown of the internet, I do believe a new thing is put on the agenda, the termination of the Ron Paul volunteers. There they are, taking helicopter. There we go. Ben was actually able to use one of his tools to get those Ron Paul people. And here comes another one, dressed up as policemen. Where are these Ron Paul volunteers getting these police cars and helicopters? You know, it must be these millions of citizens that are giving him money on the internet. They're going to have to be shut down too. You cannot have millions and millions of citizens supporting Ron Paul and providing him with the money to buy these terrible weapons of mass Fed destruction. But here the Fed chairman oftentimes doesn't have the time to stop his car and get out, just jumps right out. That's how busy he is. He is a busy, busy executive. More Ron Paul people. Oh, thank God, Ben's got one of his own helicopters now. He's going to be able to safely get away and get the heck out of there with the board members in the jet there. You can see they're all leaving for Basel, Switzerland right now to conduct that important meeting. In fact, this very meeting, sources have just told me, is inspired by John Maynard Keynes' will. We're actually reading now a letter, a caveat to Maynard Keynes' will, which was not to be opened until the 10th of January 2010, where he has instructed the agenda of this new global meeting in Basel, Switzerland. My God, how long-term John Maynard Keynes was in actually engineering. Oh, hold on a second. We've got another revelation. The will of Paul Warburg, a codicil from his will, is also, we understand, being read for the first time. And I think Ben is on his way to a meeting that has been structured by the will of John Maynard Keynes and Paul Warburg on the New World Global Currency, the shutdown of the Ron Paul organization, and the internet that supports it. And of course, I believe the will also discusses the prisons that are going to have to be built to house all these Ron Paul volunteers. The Federal Reserve Central Bank will always be reincarnated as another central bank out there to serve the interests of the global public. Get rid of these pesky communication channels where Ron Paul volunteers cohort, collude. Here we are. There's a money truck. There's a money truck. Ben is going to go back and supervise that truck full of money right now to make sure that money arrives on time for the public. And oftentimes Ben doesn't rely on drivers. When that money needs to be delivered, he will oftentimes get out there and actually help out, give a helping hand to delivering the money with one of his many tools. And here we can see, oh my God, this was a Ron Paul volunteer driving that money truck. Look at him. He's trying to fight. And here come more Ron Paul volunteers. Oh my gosh, they're trying to take the money away from Ben. But he is using his Federal Reserve bat against them. What is coming of the money supply? Uh-oh, look at this Ron Paul. Oh my God. He's kicking Ben. Ben is now running to get in this money truck to save the money and get away with the money before... There we go, one of the many tools of the Federal Reserve System. As Ben safely grabs the truck full of Federal Reserve notes and brings the money to safety. And there we have it. You saw it. You saw it happen, folks, from the Predator drone camera. Ben Bernanke saved the money supply. And he is driving away, even though Ron Paul volunteers are attacking him from every angle. Driving up in fake police cars. Look at that. Ron Paul volunteers coming after Ben as he drives the money away to a safe place where it can be distributed to the American people by helicopter or satellite if necessary. Citizens, this is why you pay the elite to run the money. This skill, this dexterity, the ability to bring that money supply safely to you so you don't have to work like they used to back in the old days. Farmers out there digging in the dirt, mechanics building things. No longer do we need to do that. We can print up all the money we want and just simply hire the people in China to build everything. There's another Ron Paul cohort, another one. Look at these Ron Paul volunteers literally throwing themselves in fake police cars. You know, one would ask, where are the real police in all this? Why aren't they out helping Ben? Well, the fact of the matter is they have more important things to do. I mean, they are in other parts of the world fighting Iraqis and various other people, getting rid of the oil and getting their hands on this oil. So they don't have time to be back here in the country dealing with Ben's problems. Ben is perfectly capable. There we have another Ron Paul volunteer getting in the way. Ben's problems are easily solved by himself and the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee members and the tools he's been given by Congress to push his way through any obstacles and get the money where it needs to be. Bring that money to his fellow bankers that are working hard on Wall Street to improve your life and design better weapons that can be used to fight off recalcitrant citizens. I mean, citizens growing into the millions. These people joining the internet and picking up all this false information from the Ron Paul volunteers. It's disgusting what's happening in America. And we can see the Federal Reserve Committee is following Ben in the limo as he safely brings the money supply to a safe harbor. And oftentimes Ben does have to jump out of his vehicle and attend to other business, even as the Ron Paul volunteers infiltrate everywhere and try to stop him. Ben is always on the job, working for you. And we can see Ron Paul volunteers honking at him now as he runs down the road to freedom on his way to the dream of John Maynard Keynes and the global currency.